Hello and welcome to Your Healthy Mind. I'm Karen Treaster with Never Settle Life Coaching, where we talk about all things healthy for your mind, your body, and your spirit, because they all work harmoniously together. And today we're going to be talking about holistic health and different modalities for healing. And you're going to hear for the first time, my guest has a new class, a new method for relaxation. And you're going to hear how all this plays into your mental health so you can have the healthiest mind for peace, joy, and better performance. So I'm so excited to be introducing my guest today. And before I do that, though, let me just tell you a little bit about her. Catherine O'Connor is a board-certified holistic health practitioner, IRT therapist, registered yoga teacher, Reiki master teacher, certified sound therapist, owner of Treasure Coast Holistic Health Center, and founder of Holistic Education Foundation. All right. Oh my gosh. And that's where I met you. Hello, Catherine. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be part of this.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, you're one of the first people I thought of. You are all about health and the mind and relaxation and all the stuff. And I know that started for you a long time ago. And as I was saying, we met through the Holistic Education Foundation, which I am a founding member of. And I feel very good about that. So can you sort of take us back a little bit to when you started in with the holistic life? And or maybe a little bit before and why you did?
Sure. So I grew up very conventionally. My parents believed in medical doctors, and when the doctor told you to do something, whether or not you agreed with it, you did whatever the doctor told you because that was how you were healthy. And I grew up eating McDonald's and drinking soda and just a very typical American sad diet.
Yes.
Um, My husband, Kevin, was a police officer in NYPD. He was in September 11th. And if everybody, it's funny, everybody remembers the moment, the place that they were during September 11th. And clearly it was a very tumultuous time, especially working for NYPD. And he was down at ground zero week after week, breathing in all of those toxins in there. And he wound up getting what they called September 11th disease. And he had tumors, polyps. He had a tumor on his optic nerve. And I was so scared for him going in and being in that environment day after day and still getting sick and still having side effects that I convinced him to come out to Suffolk County Park Police in New York. And I thought that he was going to be chasing squirrels. And he was run over by an ATV going 80 miles an hour, ran him over and dragged him.
Oh.
He broke both his kneecaps, displaced his tailbone, shattered his ankle. He has 6 bulging discs. It damaged his shoulder, and he has a whole bunch of nerve damage, specifically called RSD, reflexive sympathetic dysmorphia. And like I said, at the time, we were living very conventionally. And because he was still active in the police department, he was required to go to the police surgeon. And they were prescribing him medication after medication after medication. And he is one of those people that took a medication, would have every side effect to that medication. So he took another medication, and then he had every side effect to that.
Mm-hmm.
At his worst, he was taking Cymbalta, Lyrica, morphine, Darvon, Lidoderm. They were taking him into the hospital, putting him to sleep for a couple of weeks, hoping that he would wake up and his body would be restored. And he just continued to get sicker and sicker and sicker. And eventually it led to pancreatitis, which blocked his gallbladder. And he got gallstones, which blocked his pancreatic duct. And he had pancreatitis, which was literally that acid was leaking and melting into his body.
Oh
So
my
they said to him, we're going to take out your gallbladder. And I don't know what change came over him, but he was like, I was born with my gallbladder and I am going to die with my gallbladder. And he checked himself out of the hospital. As a last resort for pain management, they basically told him either you take out your gallbladder or you're going to die. Like your condition is really serious and you can't go on like this. We went to an acupuncturist,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't just an acupuncturist, he was a healer. And he started to change our lifestyle little by little. He weaned off the medications, which took a long time. We went from eating our sad American diet to eating vegetarian and vegan. Not that we're vegetarian and vegan now, but at that time when we were in crisis, we needed to take those drastic measures in order to bring us back to health. Well, the more that he started changing in his lifestyle, the more that I started changing in mine. And not even realizing that I was sick, I started to heal. Eventually, it sparked me to go back to school for holistic medicine. So I'm a board certified holistic health practitioner.
Right.
I went on to study yoga. And the more that we learned, the more that all of us started healing. He was bedridden, in a wheelchair, couldn't finish a sentence, was completely paranoid, dependent, addicted to all of the drugs that they were giving him. To now we're 16 years later, and if you met him, you wouldn't even know that he was so seriously sick.
And
He
people,
is, yeah,
people don't.
he's
I mean, you
yeah,
would never know in a million years what a
yeah.
metamorphosis, I mean, through what you've been doing.
He is a medical miracle. Most people that have RSD live up to 5 to 10 years. He has RSD like the second level, which is the nerve damage that travels to your organs and shuts your organs down. And there's only 2 people in the world that have survived that. And he is 16 years later thriving. And I attribute it 100%
Wow.
to us switching to becoming more holistic. At the time, I really didn't understand why the universe was putting us through such tragedy, that it was bad enough that he was sick from September 11th, and then to have this incident coupled on top of that. And looking back now, all of the people that he was in with NYPD that got cancer, that had tumors, that had polyps, that had all these diseases that came from being down there, he's the only one out of his platoon that survived. And so had it not been, and I attribute that to all of our holistic
Totally.
lifestyles and
Totally.
modalities.
And you for taking the reins the way you did as well, and furthering your education and doing more and more and more. And that is an incredible story. Wow.
Yeah. We came from having a whole lot of lemons, and I always say, like, now we're making limoncello.
And you do. Yes, exactly. And that's what you have to do. I think it's so important to take our messes and turn them around. And you know what? It's always a work in progress. I realize that. But you discover so much in the time being, and then now you're there for so many other people to help. And
Well,
right.
so that's what sparked us, is that at the time that we were searching around for different holistic modalities, I mean, we're going back about 16 years ago, we were looking for things and it was really hard to find. And I was taking my son to a holistic pediatrician, and she said to me, you need friends that think the same way. Like, I was explaining why we were doing things, and it was a constant, like, I felt like I was always defending our lifestyle. And even though our friends and family saw him making such huge leaps and bounds, they didn't understand why we were living the way that we were living. And so I joined Holistic Moms Network, which was a holistically minded moms group that we talked about natural birthing and things related to raising your child naturally. And that made just such a giant difference in my life, because it was support of friends, of community. And so flash forward to eventually when he retired, we sold our house. We put all our stuff in storage, and we toured around the United States in a camper for 2 years with 4 kids, 2 dogs, and a hamster.
Oh, wow.
We homeschooled. We just lived off the earth. You know, it was raining where we went. We packed up all our stuff when we drove to another place. It was such an incredible experience to have that I suggest to anybody, like if you ever have the opportunity, if it's something that you want to do, make that chance. Take that, take that chance, move on to that adventure and kind of follow your dream. It brought me to Florida. And once we got settled in Florida, again, I was finding the same situation, that it's very easy to make conventional friends, that there's a lot of people out there that are living happily, but in an unhealthy lifestyle. And I needed something more than that. And Kevin and I were at the kitchen table talking about what am I going to do to make holistically minded friends here. And for a moment, we talked about starting a holistic moms chapter here. But at that point, my kids were a little bit older. I wasn't into birthing and nursing anymore. And I just wanted to be able to connect with people that didn't have kids or maybe had grandkids or other, husbands and men in the community. And so that's why we founded Holistic Education Foundation. So that way I can create that community and make a place for people that are looking to live a holistic lifestyle. So HEF is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to free education in holistic health and community building. We have chapters all over Florida. We have a chapter in New York. We have a chapter in Indiana. And it's my hope that one day we'll have chapters in every state across the country, if not globally. Because it's nothing like having somebody that understands you on that next level, that you don't have to explain to them, I'm not eating GMOs, and then explain to them why you're not eating GMOs,
Exactly.
And had it not been for HEF, I wouldn't have met people like you, Karen, which I'm like totally grateful for. It was exactly the mission of why we started. So
yes, and I love your community because it like you said, it's all like-minded people, and we do get each other. We don't, because I've been in the same boat, definitely, with my family. I explain what I'm doing and, whoo, goes right over their head and they don't want to hear about it. And, they think that, there she goes again.
sitting in the corner meditating.
Trying something else. Yeah. But here I am, right? Very healthy. And getting up there in age, and it feels really good. And I know I have a health background as well, and I do believe in holistic as well, totally. I mean, I know they go together, and we have to have both. But I think that it's interesting how more people are turning to holistic these days, and more alternatives. Right.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, you could find organic food in just about any grocery store around, and people are just starting to educate themselves, to take their health back into their own hands, not so much as dependently relying on somebody that if you didn't have health insurance or you couldn't pay them, you don't know where they live, you don't have their phone numbers, you can't just text them. It's becoming that we're depending on ourselves rather than depending on strangers to be in charge of our health and the way that we want to live our life. So
and totally changing the way that we are. And so I know there's you also have a lot of different modalities that you've gotten into. Now you mentioned, and I know you don't do acupuncture, but that was a different way that Kevin healed. And so you're into Reiki. And I know that Reiki is a really good one. I also do Reiki, and I know how relaxing that can be, and just I'm sure I know you teach it at your center, the classes. And what are some of the other modalities that you're into? And I want to talk about the new one that you are developing as well. The relaxation.
At Treasure Coast Holistic Health Center, I teach very beginner yoga classes. Everything we do here is really semi-private. I, of course, do holistic consultations where we help people with different food or exercise plans that would fit their lifestyle. But one of the biggest things that are a component in people's health is stress. Stress is so abundant. When I was going to school for holistic medicine, it was a lot of focus on herbalism, on nutrition, on things that you can consume. but the focus was really not on stress management. Although they told you should meditate and you need to do things in order to relax the mind. Part of being holistic means that you incorporate food, exercise, and nutrition. So it was a focus, but it wasn't until somebody, in the beginning, I had a lot of my friends that were my newer friends that were like, oh, you have to come to a Reiki circle. And I was like, that sounds a little woo to me. I don't know if I'm interested. The name of it was really, and from the second that I walked into my first Reiki circle, I was like, this is what I've been missing. It just provides such a deep level of relaxation. And there is nothing that the person that's experiencing that needs to know or needs to do in order to have that healing. And so it became my primary focus of my modality that I primarily choose to use, because we live in such a stressful society that teaches you to respond to situations in a stressful way, but not that teaches you to have a stressful situation, but then do something to get yourself back into that homeostasis, to remove those stressors from your life. So Reiki is a big part of my business. Like I said, I teach Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. I also do private Reiki sessions. We have Reiki circles. I have Reiki circles for practitioners only, so that way they can build the community and get to know other Reiki practitioners in the circle.
It's really
the semi-private yoga classes I teach, because yoga is more than just the yoga poses. It's not just about practicing those asanas and standing in warrior pose for 5 minutes. It's actually a practice of life that incorporates a certain sense of being and living and not doing harm to anything around you or to yourself for that matter. And I also do an ionic foot detox, which is really like an incredible treatment, which helps to stimulate the lymphatic system. If you're not familiar with the lymphatic system is the way that our body releases toxins. And unlike our heart, it doesn't have its own pump. You need exterior stimulation in order to make it happen. So you can do things like go in the sauna, practice dry skin brushing, exercising to sweat for 30 minutes a day, or the ionic foot detox is a great way to stimulate the lymphatic system and purge all those toxins out of your system.
Yeah. It sounds like a nice alternative and I'm not, and exercising I know is so important, but it's another way. And so that detoxes your whole body?
Yeah, you just sit with your foot in the basin. I make it kind of like a spa experience. I do a little pranayama, that art of breathing. I incorporate meditation, and then they sit with their foot in the anionic detox, and it just draws all the toxins out of the body and helps to stimulate the lymphatic system. So it's an awesome holistic tool that I think that if everybody hasn't experienced it, you should Google and look for somebody in your area that offers ionic foot detox, or go sit in the sauna, help to stimulate the lymphatic system. It's really an important part, getting rid of the toxins in our body that, again, most people are not focused on. And then before you know it, you have a huge buildup and you wind up being sick and having chronic illness when it could be something that's totally preventable.
Well, because when that's blocked, your lymphatic system, that causes anxiety, and doesn't it?
Yeah, looking at us as whole beings, right? Once one thing is off, your body automatically tries to do something to compensate, to bring you back into that balance. So when you are exercising, eating right, eliminating your toxins, getting sunshine, drinking fresh water, all of those things, your body is not in that stress state, not in that state of dis-ease.
Right. Right. Which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. And we spend so much time, or a lot of people do, in the other place. And when you can give them a flavor of what you do and show how good it feels, people just want more. And that's what I've found. So you have something new. I'm excited to hear.
So I'm going to share with everybody for the first time about IRT therapy, integrative relaxation technique. Back when I was going to school for holistic medicine 16 or so years ago, it was my dream to bridge the gap between conventional medicine and holistic medicine. Although I've had a very bad experience with medicine in my lifetime, I still believe in it. I still think that when people are sick and you need the medication in order to help your body heal, that you need to use those conventional medicines. So many conventional practitioners don't believe in holistic medicine. And a lot of holistic practitioners don't believe in conventional medicine. And there's a huge gap in between where we live in a wonderful world where you can use both. There's no reason that you need to choose one or the other, and you can integrate the two of them into your life. And so I created IRT therapy that I'm currently using in medical practices. It is a deep relaxation using pranayama, that art of breathing, a body scan that just moves through your body, guiding you to relax different parts of your body, and then setting an intention. Intentions are so important. Not too many people practice that on a daily basis, but waking up in the morning and just thinking of like your intention to be happy during the day, or just thinking about an intention to, I don't know, maybe be productive or successful. Setting his intentions are really, really important. And so using them in a medical practice, incorporating that with the IRT, that deep relaxation, when people set their intention for healing or for relaxation, they're going into their procedure and they're not having that stress and anxiety and thinking about, oh my God, how is this going to, am I going to come out which way on the end, but setting that intention to come out in a positive way at the end of the practice. So we've been doing studies. In the last study that we did, 9 out of 10 people felt deep relaxation for 3 hours after just 15 minutes of IRT therapy.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I'm hoping to, yeah. So I'm currently using it in medical application. I'm working in the process to be able to offer CEUs to nursing students or nurses and things like that, so that way they could use it in their medical practice. And it's my hope to get it into like the dentist's offices. Can you imagine you're going in for a root canal and you're going in with all of that, oh no, he's going to drill on my teeth, before you start that practice, to have that deep relaxation that you get from breath, the deep relaxation that you get from body scan. And you set your intention knowing that at the end of this, I'm going to have happy, healthy teeth.
Right.
You know, it takes people into a different mindset. And you don't have to be holistic in order for it to work. It's for conventional people also. And it's just the way that our brain responds to certain techniques that incites that relaxation process, whether we're doing it intentionally or unintentionally. It works.
Oh, yes. Oh, I think that sounds wonderful. And you're so right that we need that badly. And your example of the dentist office is perfect. I know when I go into the doctors and I get my blood pressure, my anxiety is so high. I don't know about anybody else, but mine is skyrockets. Like, oh, I need to just relax. and just you forget, because sometimes they do it so quickly, but to take that time and just relax beforehand. And if you had a method, obviously it would be a lot easier to do that. I know I even before I go on a flight, I'll close my eyes and set an intention just for flying, that everything is gonna be fine.
Right?
Yeah. And it just, like you said, it takes your mind off. You can't be relaxed and calm and anxious at the same time. You can't be both. So if you do,
that's exactly right.
Yeah. So if you put your intention on that, and people need to hear that. People, because it's an easy thing to forget. So that sounds really, really good. I'm excited for you for that. And it all has to do with our minds, like you said, because you are going to perform better in everything that you do. When you clear your mind, you're relaxed, you get rid of all that negativity.
Yeah. And with consistent practice, you learn how to control your mind rather than having your mind control you. It's great for people that have stress, anxiety, PTSD, all of those. I mean, like even people that have chronic autoimmune disease, you're in a constant state of fight or flight. And when you're practicing these relaxation techniques, it takes you out of that, which then gives your immune system that chance to boost up and kick in. So learning different methods and different things work for different people at different times, So if you are currently having a meditation practice and you're using the same thing over and over again, it's good to incorporate something different every once in a while. So that way your mind starts to, you start to use that control of your mind.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And that's not unlike with exercising. as a former personal trainer, right? Your body gets used to it, and it's automatic. I mean, it just is, done by rote. And so when you can switch it up a little bit, it helps you and will train your mind, as it goes right into that whole thing. So yeah, switching it up, that is really good. And I know people, and me included, you get busy with what you're doing, and then you don't take the time to go out and try new things. And I think that it's important for people to hear this, because your body responds in different ways. And the thing is, you don't know, right? Unless you try
Yeah.
something. And
It's all about coming out of your comfort zone, like all the magic happens outside of your box. It's
right.
when you do something that you're not so comfortable with, and then you have all those benefits that come along with it. There's the reward for doing something that you weren't so sure of in the beginning, like me with Reiki, for example.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's so true. The joy is on the other side of your comfort zone. And another piece of that is just, having the faith to do it, just saying okay, and making the decision like you did. Just okay. Or Kevin, and just saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, go, or I'm going to go ahead and, make that decision to learn about this with you. And once we do that, our mind just looks for ways, it looks for evidence that can help you.
Yes.
Because yeah, and I find that too, that so many people, who always say no so quickly. And the thing is, they're always looking for that evidence of why something doesn't work. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like we talk ourselves into it. It's like setting that intention. This is not going to work for me. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that it's not going to work, of course it's not going to. But if you believe that there's a chance, it opens you up to countless possibilities.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so true. And so, getting back to the mind and how important that is for you, uh, do you find that, because you're doing obviously a lot, you're running a nonprofit, you have this health center, the holistic health center that you run, and I know you've got all these programs and many things, and how does that help your mind with having all of that, and just sort of managing that? Or what's your mindset about?
So a lot of it is time management. Like at the end of the day, you have to really, when you're doing multiple things at different times, you have to make sure that you allot time for yourself. I set up this model with Holistic Education Foundation called the Achievement Project. And each month we check in and we set goals. It's kind of like a holistic mastermind. And in the beginning, I was setting up this goal that I was focusing on HEF, I was focusing on my business, and I was focusing on my family. And it wasn't until a couple of months later that I was practicing in, and I was like, you know what, I'm really not a triangle. I forgot to include myself in all of that. And I was feeling really run down and really burnt out from not managing my time properly, but also not giving anything to myself to fill my own cup. And so once I incorporated that in, and I started realizing that I need to take down for whatever it is. I mean, if I want to sit down and watch Netflix for a couple of hours, or, if I just want to go for a walk without my shoes outside and feel the earth beneath my toes. But those tiny little things that you do for self-care turned out to be a really important thing for me, for my mental health.
Right. Well, that's a great point. What a great point. And so many times, and I know I am guilty as charged, I can be, just giving yourself permission to do that. And just knowing that, yes, it's okay. Because I know for me, I write a lot. And so I'll just get to a point, and I just want to keep pushing because I want to finish, but nothing's coming. So I will just stop. My go-to is going for a walk. And I find that's a way to clear my head, to clear my mind. And I sometimes will do a meditation. but I love to just go for walks. I don't know why. It's very therapeutic for me. So, oh, and speaking of that, everyone, we're going to hear in just a few minutes, we're going to be hearing a little meditation. So you get a little flavor, which I'm excited about, that Catherine's going to do. But what's your go-to, Catherine? Like when you kind of get, you just don't want to do anymore. You feel like you just want to take a break. What?
So running away to the woods is a big thing. I mean, especially
Oh,
growing up in New York, we had woods and things all around us. So being able to take a camping trip, unplug from my cell phone, put everything on do not disturb, and just be out in nature. For the every daily day-to-day things, I practice Reiki every night before I go to bed. That's always my consistent practice. And I'm very fortunate that I work in an industry where all day long I'm practicing breath work. I'm practicing meditation. I'm practicing yoga. And so I live a very relaxating, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business. So there is a certain amount of stress that comes to that. When I am sitting in the car and I'm feeling that stress and anxiety of traffic, or I'm late, or I need to get someplace, going back to my breath is always my number one slowdown. And I'll share a really easy breathing technique with you if you'd like me to share that.
Oh, I would love it. I'm sure the audience would as well.
IRT breathing, or the complete yogic breath, it's kind of a combination of different breathing techniques, but you just start by guiding the breath to move in the nose and out the nose. Slowing the breath down, taking long, deep, slow inhales, followed by even longer, slower exhales. And as you breathe in, you feel the chest rise as it fills with air. And as you exhale, you feel the chest relax as it simply lets go. And then you just begin to breathe in through the nose for a count of 4 and out through the nose for a count of 8. And we'll just take a couple of rounds. So let's take a cleansing breath in together. Exhale out completely. And then begin to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then releasing any control you have over your breath. So we just took 3 rounds of that IRT breathing. It's as simple as that. Sometimes 3 rounds will bring you enough to come down and bring back to that homeostasis. Sometimes you take 3 breaths and 2 minutes later, you find yourself having to take 3 more breaths. And which is totally natural for people. But the more that you practice pranayama, the more that your body starts to learn, I relax now. And so you come into that habit that just taking those 3 cleansing breaths will bring you back to a clear mind. And so that way you can proceed forward without stress and anxiety. So
what a great practice. I feel amazing. I mean, I feel really, really peaceful. So how often do you do it? And I know you do it more where you are at your practice. What would you suggest? At least once a day, or?
So for clients, I suggest to them whenever they feel they need it, especially for people that have like anxiety, and you're starting to feel like that bit of anxiety start to bubble up, and you're getting stressed about something, or maybe you're sitting at work and something happens and you're feeling that little bit of panic coming on. Just taking a minute to close your eyes, feel the breath in your body, breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8, taking just 3 little rounds of that and then moving on. If you ask people throughout the day how many times you feel stress, most people will tell you hourly. There's like an hourly consistent thing that once in one time in an, so maybe you're practicing pranayama 1 time every hour, but eventually your mind and your body start to make that really strong connection that you just start to, with constant practice, You become more resilient. So the things that were stressing you at one time when you're practicing different types of modalities of relaxation, your body becomes more resilient to stresses. So things that tend to bother you all of the time start to seem not so important anymore. And that stress and anxiety just melts away.
Yeah, exactly. And really you grow new neural paths in your brain for that
Yes.
positivity, and it is quicker to shift. I
Yeah.
know when I started practicing doing things like that, I mean, my mind can shift like that. If I get into anxiety or something, it's easier for me and you than someone who hasn't been practicing that, because we are training our brain and it all goes back to our brain.
Yes.
It all
Yeah.
starts by
Yeah.
doing that.
And we train our brain to stress.
Yeah.
We think
Yes.
that, oh, if you're not stressed, it's not going to fuel you. And when you're anxious about a situation, you're more productive. And that's actually the exact opposite. When you're stressing about something, it reduces your immune system. It creates cortisol, which everybody knows cortisol creates belly fat. It
Yes.
starts to set off all of your hormones, all of your functions. And so when you're coming from a relaxed state, you're more efficient, you're functioning better, your mind thinks more clearer, everything else starts to fall into place.
So permission to relax, have more fun, and
Yes, you had permission. You had
right?
permission. Find your
We're
breath,
doing it here.
take your shoes off, walk in nature, feel the grass or the sand beneath your toes.
Oh, I
All
love
of those little things are really important for us.
Yeah. All right. That's beautiful. Well, this has been so fun. I would love to go on and on forever. I know you've got a little meditation for us that we can, but before we do that, what's your gift? And then we're going to end with a meditation. I know you have a gift for everyone.
So my gift for anybody watching this is I welcome you to come in and take any yoga class, or I also offer a relaxation class one time a week. I would love to have you come in and experience my services and see how easy it is, how simple the tools are to learn. And yeah, I'd love to share that with everybody. So I think that they could find that on your website. There's a link that you just click on, and I would love to meet you in
Yes.
person
Yep.
and come in
There
and
will be
enjoy.
there's a link right on the email that's going out. So you can click that anytime. And we are in Stuart, Florida, by the way. So just to let people know about that. And so, yes, just to kind of end this, I know you have a little meditation for us, just we go ahead and to relax, feel peace.
It's called a metta meditation. It's a blessing of love and kindness, and it's how I like to end all of my ceremonies. So you could just take your hands to your heart if you'd like, close your eyes if you choose. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free of suffering. May no harm come to you. May no problems come to you. May no difficulties come to you. And may you always meet with success. May you have the wisdom, the courage, the understanding to meet and overcome any challenge that crosses your path. May you always be happy. May you always be healthy. And may you always be loved. The love enlighten me, bowing deeply to everybody participating in this, and to you also, Karen. Thank you. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Catherine. This has been so wonderful, enlightening, and just with all your wisdom. Go out and make it a fabulous day, everyone, and take time for yourself. Thanks again, Catherine, and I can't wait to see you soon. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for now, everyone.